You know Neil from the Neil and Jordan podcast, and that's clearly the thing that he's most famous for, not his TikTok account that has over 1 million followers. It's definitely our podcast that gets about 15 to 20,000 listeners. But anyway, he was talking to me off air about a theory that he heard of why Elon Musk bought Twitter. So there's obviously the whole, I care about freedom of speech. Well, that's something no one's ever said before. That's a very original spin, and obviously Fox News loves it, and that is what the strategy might actually be. The fact that it is very popular with Fox News. Ooh, did I pique your interest? Shut the fuck up anyway, even if I didn't. Maybe if you pay attention for a couple more minutes, it might. All right? Anyway, now that we've got that ugliness behind us, he was saying that Elon Musk thinks that if he is able to make one digital platform for the Republicans somewhat helpful towards them, they will owe him when they obviously wipe out in the midterms, and that means that a lot of government funding will be going towards his projects. A lot of his movements now are about getting his tentacles into government grants and funds so that he can move them into his objectives. So he's not just utilizing private capital, but also public capital. Genius. Anyway, the fact that he is doing that could possibly be a net benefit, because at the very least, there might be one billionaire in the Republican Party that makes their money from not cars that burn fossil fuels. Might be a little bit helpful. There might be more government funding tied into projects that are of ecological benefit. And there's a lot of ifs in there. I don't even know if this theory is true. I know there's going to be a lot of snarky comments because anytime you ever mention Elon Musk, it's the same thing as Jordan Peterson. He's the worst human being on the planet. I don't know about that. There's a lot of Saudi Arabian billionaires that ride around on tigers that they've defanged. But anyway, and their product is oil. So I think that is definitely the case, everything that I just said. But even if it isn't, it is an interesting way to look at things, because there is a basic principle there, which is that he is using his resources to maximize on other people's resources. And as such, theoretically, could be, definitely, when it comes to the Republican Party, as Noam Chomsky said, they are the largest terrorist organization in the world and the most dangerous. And that is just indisputable, really. If your goal is to destroy the planet, you suck a little bit more than Al-Qaeda. They just wanted a caliphate. That was it, right? But they just want a caliphate of Koch brothers, but it's the entire planet. Even Bhutan. Locate that on a map, kids. I wouldn't be able to. No, actually, I think I would. I'd just be like, oh no, that's India. Close enough. But, yes. Let's just use that as a thought experiment, though. Because there was something that I noticed once with this debate between an entrepreneur and somebody who was just pointing out all the ills of the world and how the energy grid is obviously stacked in a way that they get to determine global policy, and that's definitely true. I was talking to someone who knew someone who worked for BP, and isn't this terrifying? In the Glasgow conference, how everybody moved ahead and we got close to a 1.5 degree agreement. Huge, very big. We got close to a 1.5 degree agreement, and they were saying to this BP person, are you scared about that? And they said, well, would we be scared about that? We were the ones that allowed it. So they were waiting for the last 30 years to move into renewable energy until it became feasible. And they obviously knew that climate change was happening, but they spent hundreds of billions on a disinformation campaign to cripple all democracies across the planet from moving towards meaningful targets for 30 years. Damage the planet in the process, just so that they could be the monopoly holders of the next generation. Yes, obviously, I'm on Friendly Geordies. Check me out, friendlygeordies.com. You can get merch there, my face on there that says shill. It's ironic, okay? I get the joke. But as I'm always saying on this channel, the flip side of it is when the entrepreneur was arguing with this person and they were saying all the ills of that, he was saying, well, why don't you work towards making a business model that is ethically friendly. And they were a little bit stumped by that, and all they could do was the usual thing, which there's going to be a bunch of comments of dickheads that watch too much political Twitch streamers that are going to be saying the same things on this channel, obviously, of just like, this guy had some very conservative talking points. In fact, let's just go through the checklist. This is very conservative. This is a bad take. I'm very disappointed in this top. Fuck off back to Reddit. Stop looking at Jordan Shanks. You are going to amount to nothing in life, all right? Deal with it. It's true, though. Come on. You're a fat loser and you have no friends. And you're never going to get any because you don't see the wisdom of what he is saying, which is you make those utilities unnecessary by building an alternative utility. Does that mean that you're going to be able to do it in your lifetime? No. Does it ever mean that it's going to be on the same level? No. But what does happen over time? It's like the person that was building the in the Middle Ages, that monastery. I don't know if they even existed, but it's a nice, beautiful thought. And they'd never see it in their lifetime. And they said, why are you doing that? And they said, so my great-great-grandchildren will have a beautiful cathedral to pray in. Pray in, instead of a mud hut. What I'm saying is, all right, even if you don't believe the Elon Musk conspiracy theory, which I 100% ascribe to because of something that Neil saw on the net, it's a nice thought. And it sounds a little more realistic than, I'm going to spend a third of my wealth because they deleted a tweet of mine. But even if that isn't true, that basic principle remains the same, which is that you have a lot of resources at your whim that on an individual level you can start towards building an organization that moves the world in a positive direction and in the meantime makes you extremely wealthy. And I've got to say, living proof right here. I didn't come from a rich family like Elon Musk and I have nowhere near the same impact on the planet as Elon Musk as a result, but I'll tell you what I do have. I do have a channel that is half the size of Sky News that gives the alternative opinion to Sky News in a country where no one is. They just have more boring ways of conveying almost the same opinions as Sky News. It's just that they like a different faction of the Liberal Party, where I'm just like, I don't like the Liberal Party in general. I think they're extremely damaging, and I make the case weekly, 3 times a week. You should subscribe, by the way, because every now and then there is the odd weirdo that's got extremely white teeth that comes up to me. Oh, I didn't know you did political videos. I don't really agree with them, by the way. I've got an iWatch. But anyway, that just so you know. Look, what I'm saying is you are a lot more resourceful than you are giving yourself credit for, and it is a cop-out to say that you are powerless in these big machinations. Yes, okay, obviously there are things that the government needs to direct, but that doesn't let you off the hook. You are capable of building organizations, and I'll tell you why. Because tons of people build organizations. It's just most organizations are another fucking barber that also sells coffee. But you can be doing things that are massive. You could be. You just need to be aiming for them. You need to know what it is. So if there's something that you're constantly complaining about, think about it. What are the resources in your control at this moment that you can utilize towards building an alternative? That is a surefire way to being a mogul in real life. Because let me tell you something. A lot of people get rich off of speculation. Yeah? The problem is, when the economy goes south, those people become poor as shit, and they commit suicide, and so they should, because they're scum. But when the economy goes south, people that have actually built something of value, they retain wealth because there is still a need for that. That is what you should be aiming for in life. Building faculties that are going to be recession-proof and improve the world. And those things are definitely possible. It's just whatever you're complaining about, you think of the solution and you think about what are the resources within your power now, and then you just start moving towards it on a daily basis and you chip away in it. And you do a lot in 10 years, I can tell you that. You can achieve a lot in 10 years. What about 20? What about 30? If you were spending that time focusing on that, can you imagine the accomplishments that would have accumulated with 30 years of concerted effort as opposed to all the people that just complained about it? In the meantime, you would have planted a forest. while everyone else is complaining about deforestation, which is something that I'm going to start moving towards in the next 10 years, by the way. Anyway, make sure that you sign up to Jordan Shanks so that I have the financial stability to do it. And also so that I can give you all the actual insider advice on, like, this is how you do it. This is how you become a millionaire. As I know for a fact, people have become a millionaire from this channel. Fact, you'd never guess it from the shit audio quality. But I do it as a reminder to myself, damn it. I do it as a reminder because I'm always saying to people, yes, be resourceful, but that also means use the scarcest resources you can so that you can utilize it for more, right? This is it. As a result of doing this, I'm able to do my week's work for this channel within the span of an hour because it's just click, 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 boom, I'm out. I'm going to have a bath to unwind, which is exactly what I'm going to do now because I had a very rough day of talking to a couple of people that are quite boring because they don't talk about fun things like the Amber Heard case. Anyway, make sure that you sign up to it. Less than a 2-for-1 of Red Bull gives you more energy than that, gives you more value, gives you more inspiration, and it also gives you the know-how. That's a big investment. That's a resource available to you. That is a good trade-off. You giving up those $2 to $5 is the best return on investment you will ever get. Way better than the stock market. So much better. Such a cheap in and so much value from what you get. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Thanks so much. Keep it real.